Hi everyone, it's 2024. Let's go. So I don't know how I got so far behind on subscription boxes. I have 3 October, November and December of Scrawlr box. So I thought we could start the new year by catching up on last year. This is going to be unboxing all 3 boxes in the one video, swatching all the supplies and making 3 separate pieces of art with the 3 separate boxes. So let's get started. October, November and December. Okay, October. Ooh, a little palette. I actually just broke my favorite palette the other day. So obviously there's some kind of paints. Crystalline watercolor in like a powder. A little spray bottle. A water brush. Candy is liquid filled bubblegum, sticker, Scrawlr print, Emily Wassell, A5 300 GSM watercolor paper. Very, very handy. All right. So that's what's in October. So this looks like, I don't know, watercolor like powder. We must mix it with water. Fun. All right, November. What? This is like a little, like what you'd use for eyeshadow in those cheap palettes. Little blackcurrant candy. Kneadable eraser from Faber-Castell. Excellent. That's what I prefer to use. Sticker. Front row show with the magpies. All right, let's get back to this. Derwent pastel pencil in titanium white and a 2B graphite pencil. And oh, my most hated. Faber-Castell soft pastels, 24 colors. Now, my best friend loves pastels, so I will probably be giving these to her once I've used them to create some artwork. Oh, I can't even bear touching them. Lots of colors though, it's a good set. Okay. It's a good quality set. I'm not going to deny it, but I just don't like using them. Scrawlr. Oh, that's sick. Print. Oh, cool. We got a print of it. I really love this. I love drawing hands. That is sick. And our surface is some toned paper. Cool. Okay. This should be interesting. So that's November. And December. I can't believe I'm so far behind. What happened? What happened to the last 3 months of this year? Oh, last year. This video is going up in January. Ooh. Chocolate coin. £1. Oh, I love this. A6 watercolor postcards. Oh, it's actually got the area on the back for a stamp and an address, so you can use these as actual postcards. Well, this is going to be fun. What's in here? We have a gold gel pen, Uniball Signo. I actually have one of these already in my collection. I love this pen. I'm stoked to have another one. We have a little pin. Cute. Thanks, Scrawlr box. A little sticker. And it looks like we've got watercolors. Derwent tinted charcoal paint pan set. Amazing. These are going to be so useful in my collection. I cannot wait to swatch these out. Awesome. So we've got charcoal paints and a gold pen. Now we had a box earlier in the year which was like white and charcoal with gold. And I really liked the artwork that I made from that. I'll link the video above. And I like the idea of making something else with that color palette. So this is our print. Clarissa Grandi. Oh, actually, I forgot to mention who was the print on the pastel. Let me grab it out. Apologies. Dust. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. I love your work. All right, so that was November. December is Clarissa Grandi and our Scrawlr number 100. Oh, that's what the pin is for number 100. Little gift. All right. So I now have a lot of supplies to swatch and make art out of. So what I will do is I will swatch all these out and do a voiceover going more in depth about the supplies, and I'll make an art piece for each box. Now these crystalline watercolors were pretty amazing. It's a dry pigment that's activated with water, and the particles are so fine. This was pretty messy. And then, so they activate with water. So you can see here how the colors really come alive when you add the water to it. And this color closest to us is the gray violet, and you can just see how many different colors, separate pigments are in it to create a gray color. So I found that really fascinating. Now this water brush is probably the biggest one I've ever used. It's quite chunky, and I do like the color palette of the colors that we have here. So we've got gray violet, midnight violet, and turquoise. But I was a bit unsure about what to do with the size of this brush, having the only brush there. So you can either put your pigments in the palette and then add water and use it as paint, or what I did here was wet the paper, put some of the pigments on using a dry brush, just tapping it on so I didn't use too much, and then adding more water to activate it. But you can see this paper has a lot of water on it. So you do need to use a lot of water on the paper if you are going to use these pigments directly onto the paper. But I loved the effect of this, and so did Echo. Just watching them move when they came in contact with the water was really cool, and seeing the different pigments activate. Cool, huh? So the prompt for box 98, the October box, was loose leaf. And the artwork that we got in the box was like a floral print, some roses. And I figured I hadn't done a skull on the channel for a while. So let's do that old classic, a skull with some roses. Now with the art subscription boxes, I do like to only use the supplies that are in the box. So I did only use this big brush, which was frustrating, I'll be honest. But I used like the tip of it to get some finer details and just sort of made it work. But yeah, I kind of wished that I'd had a smaller brush or something like medium size. Like this one was just so huge. I don't work with big brushes like this. Not on this scale anyway, like on a A5 piece of paper. So I found it easier to use the paints from the palette because that way I could control the tones and the depth and the layers and that sort of thing. I did flick some of the pigments onto some wet paper to start with and then sort of use that as the background and then painted the watercolor layers on top of that. So you'll see at the end, you can sort of see some of the turquoise pigment in little specks and chunks in the background. But yeah, I just did some roses and there's supposed to be leaves around it, but I just couldn't get the shape right with the brush. So they just don't really look like leaves. And then the little skull. And I just kept building up the values. And here is the finished piece. So you can see in that right-hand corner, sort of the blue speckles of the pigment. And these are light fast too, which is really handy to know as well. Now moving on to box 99, the November box with pastels, and I said it before and I will say it every time I get pastels in a subscription box. I do not like working with them. They're so messy. I don't feel like I can get the results. Like they just don't kind of suit the type of artwork that I do. I don't think. Like I like to have details and things like that, and yeah, they're just messy. I had actually bought this fixative a couple of weeks ago for my sketchbook to protect graphite sketches in my sketchbook, and I was stoked that I had purchased that because I could use it for pastels. You really need a fixative if you're working with pastels. So this box also came with the graphite pencil, so I just used that to do my sketch. The prompt for this box was Dreamcatcher, and the art print that we got in this box was some hands, and I actually really like drawing hands. I finished off my last sketchbook doing 100 hands, and I do like to keep practicing them quite regularly because they're notoriously difficult. And so I also figured Dreamcatcher, my hands as an artist interpret my dreams in a way and catch them and put them on the page. So I guess it kind of fit the prompt as well. So after I was happy with my sketch, I just blocked in the deeper tones with a dark shade, which is how I paint. And I wanted these to be quite colourful because there's a lot of colours in this set. I didn't like this little foam blender because I think what I do like about pastels is that sort of the chunky lines that you get. I don't like that really smooth blended, but look at how dusty they are. This was driving me nuts because I'm like, I don't want to blow it all over my desk, and the cats were there, and it's so dusty and so messy. So I kept having to pick up the pad of paper and sort of tip it into my bin and then blow it off, and it was just really annoying. I just don't like them. I just don't like them. So I used this Derwent pastel pencil before Echo decided to lie on top of everything. I tell you what, she's been so sweet since Butters passed away. She's been by my side constantly, and she's been such an angel. I'm so grateful for the girls. So I just went in, just adding in more color, trying to use this foam applicator and getting really frustrated with it because it was just making the colors look muddy when it was blending together. I guess because I don't like using pastels, I maybe don't know how to use them correctly. And I'm not really interested in knowing how to be honest, because they're just not for me, and that's okay. So I went around the outline with the graphite pencil again just to sort of clean it up and sharpen up the edges, because it just wasn't working for me. And I feel like that made it better. And then I just used various greens around as a background and tried to sort of have that be more blended than the actual hands. But it's just a dusty mess. And is this like a one-use thing? Because this was so filthy by the time I finished. Anyway, I took it outside, gave it a little spray, and that was it. And then we're on to watercolors. Now, because the postcards actually have on the back the little address thing in the room for a stamp, and it was the same weight watercolor paper as the previous box, the first box, I decided to use that paper to swatch with. So I wasn't using one of the postcard cards just for swatching. And we got another water brush in this set. So this was a much more user-friendly size for me. And I love these Derwent watercolors. We got another set, like a pastel set, in one of my first Scrawlr boxes. I mean, maybe they're even the first Scrawlr box I ever got. And they're such great paints. I use them all the time. Echo was just super curious about everything I was doing in the studio these couple of days. So these paints are actually made with charcoal, so you can use them dry as well, which is pretty awesome. Or they act just like a regular watercolor if you use them with water. So you could actually paint with them. Oh, here's Echo. As soon as Echo gets into something, Evie has to come and have a look. So if you use these as paints, you could actually take the pan out of the package and draw on top of it. Like, you could actually do that. So they're quite versatile. There's a white in here as well, which didn't really do anything for me. Now, the prompt for this box was tessellate, and I actually don't really like doing repeating patterns or patterned things at all. It's just, I don't know, I just don't find it like super easy to get my brain to work that way. I do like, isn't she cute? I do like MC Escher, and I like the way that he did those sort of repeating pattern paintings, and especially with, he had done a bunch with animals. So I just thought I could do some little cats because their ears, and you'll see the way I did it. So the ears slot into the lower jaw of the one above it. And I don't know, I don't really do art like this, so I'm not sure if this is like the correct way to do it or anything like that, but I just use the same colors on the left and the right columns, and then the column in the middle was offset. So it's almost like tiles. And then I used different color paints for that. And then I just outlined them all in the gold pen. I love this gold pen. Like I showed you when I was unboxing, I actually use this gold pen. I've got the bronze and the silver as well. I think the Uniball Signos are great. And so I just did the outline of all the kitty cats, and then I gave them some gold eyes as well, because why not? These pens are water soluble as well, so you can scribble some in your palette and use it with a wet brush and use it as paint. So they're pretty versatile. I do use them a lot. Or you could spritz it with the water bottle that we got as well. So I found that these boxes sort of were interchangeable, like some of the supplies work together. I did use the graphite pencil from the pastel box to sketch out this one. But other than that, I just used the supplies from this box. So once that was dry, I just went back in with the paints and used the same color that I had used initially on the first layer. And I used it a bit more opaquely to do the nose and some markings on their little faces. And I used the darkest shade just to do the pupils of their eyes, and that was it. Okay, so here are all three artworks. This was from box 98, which was the crystalline watercolors. I didn't really love this piece at the time that I did it, but it has grown on me. Unfortunately, the tape ripped the paper. And then piece 2 was with the chalk pastels, which are my most hated art supply is pastels, but I do like the colors in this one. And with the fixative, it did help. You wouldn't want to rub it, but you can touch it with minimal pastel coming off. So that was from box 99. And then box 100 is the little tessellated cat postcard. Now, I didn't spend a lot of time on this one, so it could definitely be better. But yeah, the cats with the shiny gold eyes. So that's the artwork from the 3 Scrawlr boxes. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, feel free to like this video and consider subscribing to my channel if you'd like to watch more unboxings. And I'll see you next time.